Good evening folks, and welcome back to autumn here in the UK. I've had an absolutely truly epic, incredible time in Florida. Sadly they're short-lived. It lasted for 18 nights, then you have to come back here, save again, do the things, the usual stuff in the UK before heading back again. October the 5th next year we'll be back. I'm here again, back out doing a spooky series going into autumn winter with Adventures of Paul, who's hiding behind me. I do see ya. And yeah, it's going to be like a dark series. And the reason why it's going to be dark, why is it going to be a dark series?
It's Halloween.
No, because it's done at night, but there you go. Anyway, but yep, come and join us. We intend tonight to look at a spooky old church. We're in the area of Bow Brick Hill in Buckinghamshire, Bedfordshire border. From there we're going to go to an abandoned warehouse in the woods. Nothing to do with what's behind me. This is an old barn which used to be adjacent to this area. It was an old fort area that they knocked down years ago. I tried to have a look at it during the summer. There wasn't much left of it, so pretty much left it at that. We come here just for the sun to go down a bit. We'll make our way to a place called Sandy Lane. I'll show you it in the car because you have to drive through the sand to get to it. Then we'll go to Bow Brick Hill Church. From there to the abandoned warehouse in the woods. It's pretty much a shell now, but it's got them spooky vibes. And from there we're going to the Mermaid Pond. Now the Mermaid Pond sits in the middle of a forestry area. Over here we don't have the things that are likely to bite you, creatures as such, but when the sun's down and it's dark around the water's edge, that area, if we sit and we're quiet, we could start seeing the eyes appear. That's what I'm hoping for the spooky vibes. So come and join us, guys.
Aye, aye.
Oh, big dip. You see the terrain that we have to go to produce these vlogs. Oh, this has certainly got dug out over the years. It was never like this. You sort of end up that you can virtually turn the car on its side. It's kind of fun, guys, but it doesn't do any good to your car.
Sure.
But we shall persevere and keep going. This terrain is more suited to a beach buggy. Or a motocross bike.
Sure.
Ooh, bump. Welcome, guys, to the All Saints Church of Bow Brick Hill. Certainly got spooky, haunting vibes about it. Dates back to the 12th century originally and was renovated in the 15th century. It's the old graves, those who maybe there are no longer any living relatives about that can pay respect to them. Some of those going back to an era, I think is a lady called Mary Madeline Ager. She passed in 1814. Her husband Thomas passed in 1820. Now, in timeline respects, that means it's the same era as when the Brits sailed up the Chesapeake Bay, fought their way along the river, made their way to Washington DC, burnt down the president, I think it was James Madison, burnt down his residence and well, I guess it must have been the White House, in what was known as the colonial wars. What Britain didn't want at the time was the Americans taking a firm hold of its Canadian territories. That these are very old, some kempt, some unkempt, graves. We pay them as much respect as we possibly can do. We mean nobody any harm. I find solace amongst those who have departed. I have no real fear of those. And why should I? I would have done them no harm in their lifetime. But it's quite eerie. The church there in the foreground doesn't really show up very well. So it's got that little bit of light behind it. At some point this was a telegram centre during the Napoleonic Wars, which preceded the colonial wars, where we went back over to try and reclaim America and failed miserably. Thankfully, as I might add, I'm very fond of America, as you know, and actually having an ancestor, my grandfather, once being an American citizen, living his time with his family in New York as vaudeville acts on Broadway, is very close to my heart. But I am obviously also English stroke British. So I don't find anything spooky about a church. Said this was renovated in the 15th century. Originally purposed here in the 12th century. That's some long time ago. I have not got a clue where Adventures of Paul's disappeared to. Said these are more modern graves, so I tilt my cap to those. As much respect as possible to those and their families. This old gate here gives off vibes of the haunted mansion. And the creatures that lay beyond. This is what I find as a terribly sad sight, where the upkeep of a grave comes beyond its time period and the gravestone, the headstone, is just lifted and placed to one side. And I think it's shocking actually sometimes when you actually see a pathway made in with these, such as Clophill, which gives it the truly macabre vibes. And that's when your Satanists start to get involved. Be interesting, loads of you out there watching, what fears, what pretty much spooks you out. Is it vampires, ghosts, zombies, werewolves? I can't stand werewolves. But these are, or should be, a place of peace. And this is what I always used to think, that they were another headstone, but it's a footstone. People were very, very small back in the day. One of the many haunts, the ghosts that's supposed to frequent this area, is that of an old abbot that was the abbot of Woburn Sands. He denounced the then king, and as of those times was sentenced to death for his supposed crimes. These are seriously old guys. Could be. Very hard to tell. I'd imagine one of these would be that Mary Magdalene order and her husband Thomas. As I said, 1814. Just think of that. 200 years plus. That's a seriously long time. Your classic small mausoleum. There'd actually be a body in there. What would be left after all these years? Not a great deal. Part of the skull perhaps. Maybe a tibia, fibia. But the rest will be dust. Well, we've stuck around for a little while. Certainly getting a aura of foreboding. The little hairs standing up on the back of your neck. Could be because it's time of year. Could be absolutely anything. You're not quite expecting something to jump out from behind a grave. But it's a nice, I suppose, pleasant things to say. Never been here before. I believe this might be the one my father told me years ago, because he used to do the old medieval jousting, that there used to be a great helm at the far part of the nave. It used to hang out. But who knows. Anyway, we shall make it to our next location, which is kind of also spooky. We are going to an abandoned old warehouse. There's not a lot left of it left, which is also in the woods and will be in total darkness. So we'll catch you there in a bit. I assure you that is not an orb, a ghostly ball there within the graveyard. It can spook people out. That is one of these light changing reflectors that people have as a memento on a grave, but seen from the car park area it could be quite eerie if you don't know, if you've not seen them before. Just thought I'd point that out because people have said that they've seen things up here, strange lights, and that is one of them said strange lights. You want dark, we present you with dark. And I mean dark, look. You can just see the moon up there. This is proper pitch black. We're making our way to an old warehouse that's been sitting here for maybe a couple of centuries. It was called Fuller's Earth. Basically, the surrounding areas were rich in the sand with minerals, chalks, coals, salts, etc. So they would mine them, open mine them, take the produce, load up vehicles and transport them over the country, and they would be used by your dignitaries as luxury items. And all that stands now is a shell, which should be just as I turn this corner up here to the left. But as I said, it is dark, proper dark. None of this, oh well, you could see where you're going. No, you can't. Without this torch I'll be bumping into everything. It's so dark you can see a plethora of stars above us. And as I said, if I get out into this clearing area, I must admit it is very chilly tonight as well. You can just possibly see the outside of the framework there. If I pan around, you should see the moon. There we go, there's your moon. We now have a concrete base, so it's a little bit easier to walk on. The rattling you hear is just spare batteries in my backpack. I've been here maybe possibly 18 months ago. It was daylight then. It's just pretty much a shell, but it's just, it adds to that eeriness, the vibes that we want to give off as we start doing this dark series again. I believe just by that bush area there's a little tiny staircase going up. We'll make our way in anyway. This would have been, I guess, an old loading bay, but you can tell by the expansion, the width of it, especially down the back here, this area here, that it's not very wide at all. So you can tell maybe the era of what the vehicles would have been. Gotta watch where you're treading because there's bits and pieces everywhere. But there is pretty much the foundations, few bits of the more firmer metal that are left. The original staircase is obviously still here, and you can just walk through. But why not walk through the door? Would have been a big old place, that's for sure. Now it's just a length of pillars, the odd corrugated sheet. Roof has gone a long time ago. So if any of you guys been here itself, this is on the entrance to Woburn Sands, and also Woburn? No, it's Woburn itself. Woburn Sands is further to the right, and then you've got just Aspie Guys just off from that. Our plan is just to have a little look around here, and then we're going to make our way up into the woods area, if we can, of course, depending on what the conditions are that we're faced with. There's an area in them woods, the forest area, that's called Mermaid Pond. If we can make our way there, just to pretty much end the vlog, sit around there for a little while, and we might get to see some eyes, because it's like a bathing pool. The creatures of the night will come down, get some nourishment, take some fluids on board. That's beautiful, that. The moon just peering out from the clouds up there. And yeah, we'll just finish this evening's vlog there. It's good to be back. Well, saying that, I'd rather be in Orlando, Florida, of course, but it's good to be back, starting with Adventures of Paul again. Certainly check out his channel. There is a tale that I can tell that happened in the wooded area that surrounds Aspie Guys. I believe it was called Woodside House. Now this goes back centuries, and it's obviously, you turn around and say areas are haunted. This area is believed to be haunted by none other than Dick Turpin. Reason being is because there is a house called Woodside House, I believe it was called, and on hiding in this area from authorities, he found two skeletons in a cupboard in a property, and he used those two skeletons, or the discovery of those, to hide, to bluff his way into seeking sanctuary in the area without being known. It was the skeletons of two lovers, I believe. How they met their demise, I honestly don't know, but he used that so that he could stay within the area, seek refuge for periods of time, and then go about his merry way. But this is supposed to be one of the many locations that, not here, not obviously the warehouse, but the wooded area behind Aspie Guys. It's all documented, it's on Google. Maybe perhaps yourself look into the story. There's supposed to be an old fort, earthworks of the fort within the wooded area as well. And there is an elusive pet cemetery in there. I found it once, years and years ago. Never found it since. It's just on the edge of the woods, adjacent to, I believe it was a manor house. But I've not even seen a manor house for many years, so I don't know, maybe my mind's playing tricks on me, but I certainly found it once. And anyway guys, let's make our way, if we can, to the Mermaid's Pond. Right, so you find us deep in a wood stroke forest area, back to the old ways of scaring ourselves witless, pretty much looking for those elusive eyes, the things that make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. You know there is nothing out there that should really harm you, but it's that little element of you don't know. Even talking about it now is making the hair stand up on the back of my neck, and knowing that Paul is probably behind me with his trousers down makes it even more scary. We're hearing owls, not owls as in we've stabbed our toe on a coffee table or something, but the hooting variety. And there's other feathered type voices out there, but nothing with the pitter patter of feet as yet. Look at that for a sight. The moon sticking out from the trees. See if it's better without a torch. Yeah, it's beautiful. That was not a duck. That was Paul in the background. Normal service has been resumed. Okay guys, well that's going to do it for this evening. We hung around in the woods for probably 3/4 of an hour. There was a few eyes about, but they were so quick that we couldn't focus in on them, and they were probably only little things like, I know, muntjac deer, etc. But we've had a good start to the dark series. It's going to be a spooky series as much as anything else. We haven't quite sussed out how it's going to work, whether it's going to be every Tuesday evening or so. We'll go out and do one specific thing, bring it to you with some haunted vibes. Might bring the ghost box along, might not. But it's good to be out there again. I know it's only been 4 days since I stopped vlogging in America, but it's different. This is home. Orlando is a luxury, it truly is, and this is stuff that all you guys back here in the UK can do quite easily. It doesn't cost you anything. Pick up your phone, a camera, go out there in the woods at night. As you can see, I've got the moon behind us in the distance, and surrounded by wood stroke forest area and a derelict old warehouse. But I've enjoyed it. It's good to be back. Great to be back out with Paul again. We click. We feel safe in each other's presence, and we will continue to go. And with that guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you real soon. See you in the movies. Bye for now.